we're live right now, and what I want to start with is the mandatory training that we all have to do by November 15th. Yeah, FinTrack. It's 2 UFCs that it gives you, but make sure you go to Simban on your intranets of the OACIQ, the website, and register for that. The mandatory training. Did you guys do it?
Not as of yet, but we should get on it.
We're gonna put it up on the Quelle as well, just because it keeps coming up.
I didn't even know about it.
You didn't know? Okay,
No.
It comes up at least once every 2 weeks.
It's Melissa today that texted me and let me know. So thank you, Melissa. The other thing I wanted to just quickly remind before we go to our main topic of the day is the training we're doing on Friday for our brokers. I'm losing my voice. I'm sorry.
It's an emotional subject.
Yeah.
I don't know what's going on with my voice, but Friday is our leads nurturing program. How to go acquire leads, how do you nurture the leads. So it's going to be at our Kirkland office from 10 to 12. Please register fast because we only have a few spots left. And that's about it for the trainings. We have a
we
topic.
have Hell Week next week too, right?
Oh, did you want to talk about that? Go ahead.
Okay.
Take the mic.
He's gonna say, we have Hell Week.
Don't be too excited
Hell
about
Week.
it.
That's what I said.
We have Hell Week. The only thing actually I do have to mention is that we usually always start on a Monday for the presentation, but we'll be doing the presentation actually on Tuesday. Offices are closed on Monday for Thanksgiving, so we'll make sure that everybody's all set for Tuesday.
A holiday. You ready for a holiday? Are you ready to take a day off?
I don't
Etienne? You ready
necessarily
to
like
take a day off?
holidays.
Why?
You lose the momentum.
Mel Gabriel said he's making a turkey, so
Sure.
Are we all invited?
Sure.
You say
he doesn't feel forced.
we had a chat about that. He said to me, he said, I like weekends, but at the same time, I understand why I don't like weekends as well, because I do feel like the momentum does drop off. And then we said, well, what if we worked 3 months straight?
Oh, was that we had that conversation? Yeah,
3 weeks. Yeah.
I think it would be quite a. We should try it. Well, look, everybody's like,
Well, I don't think, you know what I think it is? I think it's a discussion we have to have with somebody else. Like if we looked at the face value, we'd say, oh, maybe we could do that. And we have what, 3 weeks off? 3 weeks off?
No, don't go crazy here.
Month
3 weeks off.
We get a month off.
You get 1 week off.
3 months. Yeah, 3
No, but
months
1
on.
full week off, like completely disconnected. Then you come back.
Yeah.
Or 6 months on, 6 months off.
I think it's something to think about, and we should just try it out as a fun experiment. I wanted to talk today about something, but before we go to the topic, something happened today that I want to share. And Mike is not happy about that, but I think it's educational. The whole point of this is just to educate, is to share ideas, concepts, what happens within our business. We're all self-employed, right?
I have no idea what is this.
We can't go into too much detail. A lot of people,
No, but not going into the names and anything. But Mike was trying to get an appointment with someone. Well, not trying to. He was trying He reached out to someone by text. And then the conversation, well, why don't you explain it?
Well, I reached out to somebody by text, and then we went back and forth for a little while. And then
in the hopes of getting an appointment.
Okay.
Yeah, so I said we should get together, and discuss some stuff and whatnot. And then he said, okay, cool, no problem. Anytime. He goes, listen, I'm going to give you a call a little bit later. Okay, no problem. So whatever, we'll talk later. And then so he said...
No, explain the whole thing, please, because it's educational. What did you say to me? Not what I said. What did you say?
So then I said to him, I said...
Etienne, because no one knows who you're talking about.
Yeah. So I said to him, I said, listen, I'm probably going to let an hour or two fly by. And then by the end of the day, if I don't hear from him, I'll give him a call around 5 or so. He goes, no, I'll call him now. I'm like, yeah, but he just told me he's busy. Just, I don't want to be like one of those like pushy people. I'm like, because I don't like that when people do that to me. So I didn't want to be like that because we just had a good convo. I didn't want to like press on it when he just said he was going to call me back.
Okay, yeah.
He's trying to justify the why he's not doing it.
So then he says, no, call him now. And put him on speaker, and then we'll see. So it starts ringing. It rings once, it rings twice, it rings a third time, and we're looking at each other because I'm like, if he doesn't answer now, he's gonna be like, didn't I just tell this guy, not to call me? But then he answers the phone, and he goes, hey, how you doing? And then conversation started from there. You understand? But I said, okay, it worked. But he was stating to the fact that you gotta.
No, but what happened?
You gotta push on. You gotta make the contact when it presents itself. itself.
Well, he's talking to you by text right now. It's a good time. It might have not been a good time, but try it. Don't have the reaction you had, which is like, oh, I'll do it in a couple of days. But you're
Not
not
a couple of days.
well, what was it, a couple of hours?
Yeah.
That's why he's gonna get busy. He's gonna do something else. You have the
Maybe
conversation.
it's between 9 and 5. Maybe you wanted to.
So we were able to speak. I spoke through the phone. I introduced.
This was the conversation.
Yes, yes.
We had. Okay.
And we were able to secure the
Secure.
meeting. And even the conversation, we should talk about the conversation because he says, yeah, we'll do something. We'll get together. Like it was more of a generic, let's touch base again.
Mhm.
I said, well, I'll give you two choices. You got to, and it wasn't disrespectful. You were there.
Yeah.
Was it pushy? It wasn't. It was fun. He was laughing.
It turned in. It was. First of all, it was a contact that was already known, right? So
Yes.
It's not a blind. It's not a blind date.
Yeah.
They know your character types, right? He's guy never met him before in my life, but I kind of knew who he was because of the subject matter.
Yeah.
And then we ended up having a conversation with him, and it actually was one of the more entertaining parts of my day. You know,
But it wasn't pushy. It wasn't
No,
salesy. It wasn't aggressive.
celebrating
Yeah, but also
Yes.
working in real
It was
estate.
fun. It
It
was
the
a
fact
fun.
that you also have a history with the person that also gave you a bit of an edge, whereas if it was cold, it might not have been, the same thing if you didn't know the person at all.
Well, it wouldn't have been the same approach. No, but I wouldn't have delayed. I wouldn't have stalled. I wouldn't have waited. I wouldn't have I don't want to use the word because you're not like that at all, Mike. So
No.
I'm not saying you are a procrastinator. But that's what procrastination is. You're not a procrastinator, but it's called.
It was not pushy. It's like when you walk into a shoe store and somebody goes, "You want to try this on? What size do you want? Do you want to try it now?" And they give me a chance.
That's not what I did, though.
No. But
So
it's an
don't
example.
confuse
No, but
everybody. Jay, would you say that that's what I did?
Wow, hot topic.
I'll
tell you, I am. Aside from this conversation,
Yeah.
I don't like sending texts. I've always disliked sending texts. I've always disliked, and it's nothing. It's just my personal way of doing things because I have this conversation with my wife a lot. My wife and I have a production company together, and we make moves, and we go, and she doesn't want to ruffle. I want to get to A to B and then cross it off the list. I'm a list guy, and if my list is not crossed off, I go to bed at night and I go out. What did I do? Did I do that? Did I not do that? So I want to make sure I have the answer. I'm personally a huge fan of the phone. I know some people don't want to answer the phone. I love talking on the phone and saying, is this happening or is it not? If it's not, it's not. And that's okay.
Yeah.
Right. But in
That's
the way
right.
of being a salesperson in real estate, I had trouble with doing that.
Because you saw it as a sales approach.
I saw it as a sales
I did not
approach.
sell when I called. This to me was not sales.
No, but that wasn't sales.
So there you go.
But it wasn't sales in any way, shape, or form.
Guys, just hug.
No, we're not arguing.
No, we're just talking.
We're teaching.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah,
Next
but that-
topic.
procrastinating. Do you find everyone procrastinates about something? What do you procrastinate about?
I procrastinate.
Oh well.
What do I
The
procrastinate
book on
about?
compliments is one page.
I think the things to do at home. Like there's one thing that's bothering me. There's a bunch of lights burnt in one of the rooms, like the sunroom there. Where there's literally 4 or 5 lights that have been burnt.
in the sunroom.
No, it's
the
like
sun.
well, I'm not, the
that's
sun
why
is
they're-
not always there, Jay. The sun goes to bed at night. Doing small things at home.
Around the house. Yeah.
I keep pushing it back.
Yeah.
That's one part that I have to improve,
We
or
have a
not.
task
Do I really have to improve that part, or can I just not hire someone to do that for me?
Well, Task Rabbit. We have one from Task Rabbit coming to the office. Next
Whether
week.
you do it or get someone to do it, the fact that you're putting it off is what you would call procrastination.
Yeah. Instead of just doing it, taking the box
Mine
away.
is weight loss. Mine is I procrastinate about weight loss.
Well, we decided without you today at lunch with the team that
Yeah.
we were starting our challenge,
Oh, great.
which could be for some a weight loss platform, journey, adventure.
Gonna do a yoga retreat with Etienne at the end of the month.
No yoga allowed. But we have a question that came in here from Maria, who's saying, do you think that there will be some other form of communication in the future other than phone, text, or email?
Yes.
Yes. Which one?
Holograms. That's coming
Mike was
soon.
quick with the holograms there.
Yeah.
You know what? Well, it's not even the future. It's right now. It's just we don't see it as much in our industry, but it's artificial intelligence, like just people that are not real, that are actually saying or you know, you write and they say what you just wrote, and so someone's gonna call you. It's gonna be an AI. It's gonna be a computer,
Yeah.
and you're gonna be talking to a computer. It's already here.
Yeah.
But that's for sure the way we're gonna be communicating.
Yeah. I'm along for the days where we actually spoke to. I already miss speaking to people on the phone. We had an issue with Facebook today to do some cleaning up, and
You
I
can't
couldn't
talk to
speak
anybody.
I couldn't speak to anybody. You guys went on lunch. I was spending the whole time trying to find YouTube videos that doesn't point to it. Just trying to find out who to speak to.
No.
And it does cause for some concern, but I imagine it's going to get just that much better.
Same with Google.
Yeah.
You can't talk to anybody.
You can't talk to anyone. You have to write an email and hope that somebody gets back to you within 24 to 48 hours.
So on that topic, on that subject, which has nothing to do with this, but what does it take to be a good manager? I found this article from the E-Myth team. For those that don't know E-Myth, it's a famous book that's written for entrepreneurs. I talk about that book a lot. Michael Gerber's the author. It's a classic. You guys have read it, I think. Huh? Gabriel read it.
Yep.
Mike, I don't know.
No, I didn't read it.
Jay, I think so too, maybe at some point. But so I found, well, I get the communications from the E-Myth team. It's a blog. And they had this article. It's very, very interesting. What does it take to be a good manager? So there's 4 things that they're writing here. And I wanted to discuss this with you as to, well, what do you think we're missing or you are missing in those 4 things, if any? Or what do you need to improve on? So the first on the list is good people skills. That makes sense?
Yeah.
It's a no-brainer. Do we have that? Do we, Mike?
I think so, yeah.
What if you had to point out someone here? Let's make it awkward. No, don't. But do you think, Gabriel, you have good people skills?
I believe so.
Jay?
Yes.
You wouldn't be
I
doing
wouldn't
what
be
you're
doing
doing?
it, no.
Good. The second item was good
Prioritization.
Thank you, Jay. Do we have that? Can we make, when you're looking at your list of things, Gabriel, Mike, Jay, are you able to know right away, looking at the list, what I need to put my energy on? What's the priority?
If you're able to set your list up, which is a rare occurrence in some settings. We're always on the road. We're always in a new office. When we get to an office, we have a bunch of tasks that we have predetermined from the day before that either have not been done or that have to be done that day. I find there's some moments where, in terms of the ad hoc, the length and time to dedication, you know it's there, you know it has to be done, but there's a choice. A choice has to be made where you got to find out which one is the best one for you to accomplish at that point.
I'm going to ask you all, because am I clear? Maybe I'm not clear, because it has to come from also the team leader or the company. What is my objectives? What are my main objectives? What's the goal that I should be working on? Because that's going to help you to prioritize. If you don't know, if the goal's not clear, the objectives is not clear, how the hell are you going to know what to prioritize? So there's some blame on.
I think the objective is clear. I think that while we're trying to reach that objective, that we get sometimes hurdles and things that come into play, bumps in the road that become urgency right away to fix those while we're still going through that objective. So sometimes prioritizing those hurdles or prioritizing those little challenges that come in between, sometimes, you might be like, oh, well, I got to put that and deal with this right now.
So the goals are clear, Mike, is what you're saying. And
well, to me, they are.
What about you, Gabriel? Am I giving you clear goals, or it's not?
The goals are clear, but I think at the end of the day, you need to have some kind of a daily structure, which I use for different quadrants. I've learned from different books, actually, to how to separate your day, because everything can look urgent or important. But then if you separate it, you can see some are urgent and important, which have to be addressed right away. Some are urgent but not important, which means that can be delegated to be done right away. Important but not urgent can then be planned for a bit later that day. Not important, not urgent can be left at the end.
Do you have a book to recommend that speaks about that?
You have Atomic Habits, which is a very good one on that.
I like that one. James Clear is the author.
And Compound Effect also mentioned some of it.
All right. I think that's great. So you're all saying that my the objectives are the objectives are clear.
Well, the objectives are clear because I think we are such a small team. Uh, what I've said before is that there's such a nice way of communicating. Communicating is on point. Now, whether a task takes a phone call or if a task takes a video to go with it, the idea is that it's either en route to being done or it's going to be done.
I think the communication is where the challenge is.
You think?
Because sometimes I think that
Even
even though
here?
the idea is clear, maybe
Yeah.
within the consensus here, but sometimes it's not trickled down the way
Yeah.
we would anticipate that it would, and sometimes it creates.
I agree. I think let's say Mike and I are discussing something, it's clear to us, but then how do we make sure it's clear to everybody else? Which is that I think the main objective, our main problem is that right now. The third item, so I go back to the first one was people skills. The second one was the how do you prioritize? And then this is my favorite one, the third one, good at designing systems. You sent me today, which is, I don't know if it's because of this article or not, but you sent me a video, and I think you sent it to Gabriel also about, as an example, McDonald's. Do you want to talk about that, Mike?
Yeah, that everyone at McDonald's, I think
No, but sorry to interrupt. Explain what good designing system means by giving McDonald's as
well,
an
the
example.
example is that whatever system they design in that particular store, it's across the board. So everybody has to follow that, and that's the reason why they're so successful, is because everybody follows the mechanisms that they put together.
Everything has been systematized.
St. Charles, 1999, was there, and it was. I mean, you didn't talk to anybody. You'd sit down, and they would pop into VHS.
Yeah.
And it was, here's your training. You're like, well, where's everybody else? Just wait.
But there was no guessing as to how do I turn the lights on when I show up there? How do I turn the fryer on? Or how do I flip the burger? At what point and how and what angle and what speed? And everything has been systematized or broken down, right? So that's what we need to do. It's something that I enjoy doing. It's like a puzzle. Gabriel looks like he's half asleep. What do you think about the... I don't know. It appears to me that... Is it the Chinese food we had? Was it Chinese? What did we have?
I think it was Chinese.
Was it?
We don't even know what the hell we had. Was it Chinese or Korean? Anyways, it was delicious. What do you think? How can you apply that in your own responsibility, your role here at Miller Group?
I think it adds on to what we were saying about how to prioritize your day is one thing, but if then once you know what your priorities are, if you don't know how to apply the solution in a way that's not systematized, then it's going to take you either 3 times the time that it should, or there's going to be a lot of dead space in the middle because it's not structured the way it should be, or it's not robotic almost. So take the human aspect out of it. Do have systems, whatever your position is, whatever the importance of the role is, and you can't go wrong.
You know, a trick I say to brokers is take a tool like Funalytics, or it's a website, but it's or a mind mapping tool. Was it Miro? Is it Miro? Miro is one of those whiteboards, these huge digital whiteboards, and break down everything that you do. Break down everything. When someone calls you, what's the system? When someone sends you an email, what's the system? What are the steps take? If it's a buyer, if it's a seller, if it's a tenant, if it's this, if it's that. You have all these systems already in your head. It's just to write it down, put it down on paper so that you can look at it and then tweak it. Because the fourth item here on the list, Jay, good at assessing how things are working. Sounds simple, but you got to take a step back and look at each one of these processes. Look at what's going on in your company, that you be a broker or whatever kind of business. And then, is it working? What do I need to tweak?
How much time are you giving yourself to find that out?
Well, it's a constant thing. It's a never, ever ending, evergreen.
When do you like to look at it?
Well, I do that every day. I look at, well, anytime there's a problem or a situation that is upsetting to someone, that it be an employee, that it be a client, that it be me, I look at analyzing the system or analyzing, well, what could we have done differently? How can we in the future prevent this from happening? So it's always, it's an ongoing thing. It's a good question, because it's not a thing you do once a week.
And there's always going to be challenges that are going to present themselves, but you want to make sure that whatever challenge presents itself today, that you don't repeat it, because when it repeats itself, then it becomes a problem.
Right. What I'm trying to see is if it's, where does the problem lie? And if it lies in a certain area, can it be fixed on the fly, or does it have to be revisited, or do you need to take enough time to look at it the proper way?
Yeah, I think that you don't want to do things on the fly ever, because then you can't scale.
Yeah.
And that's pretty much what happens with any small business or self-employed as a real estate broker. It's writing things down. And one thing, when I say that writing things down, I hate writing. Well, you know how I am. I'm not a very patient individual. So to me, writing things was always synonymous with slow and, oh, it's going to take time. No, but it's true. But ever since, because you can't do it in your head, you can't process all this information. So once you start writing it down, you start seeing it, which means that you look at it from a
The
different.
reason why I'm laughing is because you're making me think of the napkin when you told me something.
Yeah. Should we talk about the napkin, Mike? I don't know.
No, but I wrote it down and then I put it in.
Explain the napkin incident. Let's call it that.
So he told me something. He showed me something. And then so right away, I had nothing. So I didn't have a piece of paper or whatever. So I'm like, I'm going to write the information down. So there was a napkin there. So I wrote everything down. He goes, "Are you writing it on a napkin?" And I'm like, "Well, yeah, I'm going to take it from the napkin. I'm going to implement it into the program, and then we'll have it there."
So nothing's wrong with the napkin system. The only thing is it's dangerous because it's a napkin. You might just put it in your pocket and think, "Oh, I'm just gonna throw it out." Like I think you want to write this down on an iPad or a nice piece of paper, a book like you have, Jay, which you're not gonna throw out, right? You can refer back to it. But a napkin, I don't know.
Yeah, it was on the fly.
So with that, I thank you all. Thank you, Gabriel, for participating. Your voice means a lot, and we'll see everybody back in a few minutes for the French version.